Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back to 31 Nights of Horror. I can't believe it's that time of year again where I get to say that in my intro for literally 31 days. And if you guys don't know what 31 Nights of Horror is and you've never seen my channel, every single day in October I'm going to be posting one movie related video. But it's not just going to be of any movies, it's going to be a horror movie review. And there's so many fun movies I'm going to talk about, and all of these movies that I do talk about you guys chose in an announcement video I did a few months back, and I'm so excited for you guys to see what movies I talk about. Today, obviously, we're going to be talking about The Cabin in the Woods, and a lot of you guys suggested this one, and I'm really excited to dive into it and give you guys my thoughts, and I'm also very interested in hearing your thoughts on The Cabin in the Woods. This review will not contain any spoilers, so anybody's free to watch this. And now in my 31 Nights of Horror reviews, I actually started a new little segment where at the beginning of each review I talk about how scary I think the movie is and kind of do a little scare meter. If you guys watched my videos last year, I did a couple of videos recommending horror movies to newbies and stuff, and I did like a scare meter based on how scary I think it is, and I think that was really effective in helping people find out if they wanted to watch a movie or not. I'll be doing just that, and you guys can decide if you want to watch it or not. I think it'll be a lot of fun. I think horror is a genre that has so much to offer, and my goal with this series is to have fun watching and talking about horror movies, but also to get my audience to watch more horror movies that they probably didn't even think they'd enjoy, but once you actually sit down and see, you might actually enjoy it. So yeah. So what is The Cabin in the Woods about? 5 friends go for a break at a remote cabin where they get more than they bargained for, discovering the truth behind the cabin in the woods. There are so many synopsises online, and I think the best way to go into this movie is completely blind, because it's a movie that has so much to offer, and it's one that is kind of polarizing, and you guys might really disagree with my review, but I think it's a movie that, like, it's so out of this world that it's going to get different perspectives from everybody that watches it, and that's why I think it's so interesting and why I think I decided to start the series with this movie, because I'm so excited to hear what you guys have to say down in the comment section, especially about the ending. But let's get to the scare meter. So personally, I don't think this movie is scary. I think this is more of like a comedic horror film, and I personally don't think when horror has comedy elements into it, it's scary. And that's not to say there isn't some suspense here, but I think what really might scare people about this, or the main horror element that this movie has, is gore. This movie is extremely gory, and it starts getting really gory towards the end, but I think the gore is also played into as a joke at some parts, so it might not scare people. So this is my scare meter. I'd say if I was like rating it out of a 10, it would be like a 4 out of 10 in the scare level, but I think just know that it's very gory. And I think that The Cabin in the Woods is one that would be so much fun to watch with friends, because as I'll get into it, there's a friend group, and I just think it would be kind of interesting to see it with friends. But yeah, let's get on to my thoughts. So I remember the first time I saw this movie, I saw it with this friend, and this movie came out, and I was pretty young, so I couldn't go watch it at the movie theater, but it was already available to rent, so we rented it, and I remember we watched it, and I remember I loved this movie like so much, and I hadn't rewatched it since that time that I saw it a long time ago, and my thoughts have changed kind of a lot, but I still do really appreciate this movie and what it's going for. I think the main thing that this movie has is that in my opinion, I sometimes don't know if I should laugh or be scared, because it kind of blends things together so easily. There are terrifying elements in this movie. There are definitely like scenes when a character goes down into a basement and it's like a tracking shot following them and you don't know what's gonna pop up. Those scenes happen quite a lot, but then it's usually played with a joke and it kind of eases the mood, and I think this movie does a really good job of making you kind of feel like you're part of this friend group and you're part of them, just because even though they really don't have much depth except maybe 1 or 2 characters, you kind of feel like you know them because they're playing stereotypes that have happened in movies for years and years to come, especially in horror movies. And the cast in this movie plays their respected roles in the horror stereotype extremely well. You have Kristen, Connolly, Chris Hemsworth, Anna Hutchison, Fran, Kranz, and Jesse Williams, and each of them, like, if you watch them, they're so stereotypical in the sense that, like, you know what type of character they are in a horror movie. There's the virgin, the athlete, the jock type character. I do wish we would have gotten some depth with some characters. I think sometimes the story at the beginning moves a little bit too fast, and I wish I kind of would have gotten to know them a little bit, but at the same time, this movie, I don't really think this movie wanted to spend time on that, just because it's trying so hard. It's kind of being a satire on horror stereotypes and what happens in a lot of horror movies. If it would have taken its time to develop them, it would have kind of lost that, but personally, as an audience member, I would have liked a little bit more character development. Something that's really interesting that I think this movie also does is you know a little bit more about the situation than the characters do, but you're still just as confused. I think they did a good job in kind of keeping information but showing us a little bit of information, because when we watch the movie we know more than they do, and we kind of always do the entire way through, but still in the third act when things are being revealed you're kind of just as shocked as they are, and I think that was really interesting and really cool. By the way, the lighting just changed like a lot, so sorry that I just became even more purple. Anyway, back to the review. And one of my favorite things about this movie is how unpredictable it is, because like I said, it's playing with these stereotypes, so you would think it would fall into the trap of being predictable and knowing what's going on, but honestly I literally did not know what was going on until maybe the last 15 minutes, and then it's kind of like, oh my god, it's just crazy. It's literally crazy. Now, like I said, my thoughts on The Cabin in the Woods have changed a ton since I first watched it, and here's maybe where people might disagree with me, because this movie I feel like is mostly loved. There are people that don't like it, but where I fall right now, I kind of fall right in the middle, more in the side that I do like it. On my recent rewatch, I found the third act to be interesting. It's definitely crazy, super entertaining, but it felt very jarring, it felt very fast, and I think it might come to just some world building issues in the writing, because I think the writing of the movie could be clever. If you're gonna have such a crazy and unique movie and a story like the one The Cabin in the Woods is going for, I think we need to know the world building a little bit more, or maybe just have more hints to it so that when it does come it doesn't feel as out of nowhere, because when I ended the movie I kind of just had a ton of more questions than I had originally, and the movie kind of ended so I would never really know, and I wish we kind of spent a little bit more time with that. I just think what any movie is going to just kind of shock their audiences in a way that The Cabin in the Woods was going for, and in the way that it did, I think it needs to let the audiences have time to sink all that information in and kind of just be like, okay, what the heck is going on? But you could argue the other way and say that the filmmakers just wanted you to feel just like the characters, because they kind of didn't really have a chance to sink it all in. But I think personally, as a viewer, I kind of would have liked if it wasn't all out of nowhere, because I think in literally the last 15 minutes it's thing after thing after thing, and then it's the credits. When I first watched it, it wasn't a problem. I was so down for it, but I guess now I'm noticing it more, and I don't know why, but that's why I said super interested to hear what you guys have to say about this movie, especially the ending, because I think it could make or break it for some people. For me, like I said, I'm literally just down in the middle. I think there are some things that happen in the movie that just deserve more explanation. I think there's some character development that needed to happen more. I think if you're a horror fan, you have to see The Cabin in the Woods at least once, and if you're not really a horror fan, I think The Cabin in the Woods is one that might get you into horror, just because there are so many interesting jokes that like horror fans understand, that you're gonna want to watch this and be like, wait, I want to understand what's going on, and then you're gonna want to watch a lot of horror movies. But definitely this movie feels like a puzzle for horror fans to solve, and I think it always does have something to say about horror, and that's where I think it's really interesting. I just think it loses that a little bit in the third act, and I wish what the third act did for the movie was done a little bit in the first and the second act. And with that being said, I'm going to give this movie a C. Even though I gave this movie a C, I still really enjoy it and I still recommend it. There are just a lot of things that I think the movie could have done to make it even better, but definitely go check this out, form your own opinion, and then let me know what you think about this down below in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for watching the very first episode of 31 Nights of Horror. I'm literally so excited. I can't wait for you guys to see what else I have in store, and make sure to subscribe to my channel if you liked what you saw. Like I said, I'm going to be posting every single day, so you won't want to miss it, and that'll be it for me today, everyone. Thank you guys so much for watching and supporting the channel so much. I hope to catch you guys again here tomorrow. The official posting time for 31 Nights of Horror is 6 p.m. Eastern time, so you don't want to miss it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye, everyone.